fist!
What's going on, people? It's your boy Sophus. I want to really quick. I don't know how long this video is going to be, so it's kind of going to go here to there, but I want to talk about this goddamn Yu Hakusho show that's on Netflix. I will just say my highest praise for this show is that, like, this show kind of set a standard for me specifically in one aspect only, and that's just like, bro, the fight choreography in this show was phenomenal, bro. This like watching the fights happen, I was just like, bro, what am I looking at? This is dope. It was kind of like watching like a raid movie and like Jackie Chan, but like while the fights are happening, like buildings are falling down and shit. I don't know, just because the characters that are just that strong. This is the type of like live action stuff, type of live action choreography I've been wanting to see from like a live action like anime or something in the longest time. The only thing I could compare it to is, while not quite like at that scale, but it was like that Superman versus Zod fight set the standard for me and what like live action superhero fighting should look like. Or if you look at like Infinity War, when Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange fought Thanos on Titan, and it just like the last little fight sequence of Endgame and etc. etc. I was like, man, this is like the comic book shit I've been wanting to see in live action for like the longest time. Like, we get it in anime all the time, but for the live action, it's always been hard to kind of get that. And for that and that alone, I have to say this show is dope. It's dope, and it set the standard. Like, they make any more live action anime, they need to kind of take from this and see how they did this and take that and expand on it from there and do more, because this show didn't even have a really good budget from what I hear. So I think they really had to like rely on, man, we gotta at least make sure these fight scenes are fucking dope. Is the show flawless? Absolutely not. But is it just a good watch? 5 episodes? Hell yeah, this is a good watch. I sat down and watched it in one go. It wasn't even my original plan. If I didn't like it, I was just gonna turn it off. But like, I just kept watching and watching and watching. I was like, I like this. Like, I remember a year or two ago when it first like got announced that it was coming out, and we saw the early pictures and stuff. I was like, man, this shit's gonna be trash. But that was hot off of like all the other trash ass live action shit we got, like Fullmetal Alchemist and Death Note and stuff. And I was like, man, and Dragon Ball Evolution, can't forget that. I was like, man, ain't nobody interested in watching this. Nobody wants to see this. But after One Piece being as good as it was, I was like, okay, let me check out Yu Yu Hakusho, and I loved it. It was fucking great. Both Yu Yu Hakusho and One Piece are great. They show you what live action anime should look like, but for like very different reasons, right? I felt One Piece kind of gave you that condensed story of the East Blue Saga, like in a very, very, very good way. It kind of gave you the characters were kind of like super on point, and kind of gave you everything you would expect kind of from watching One Piece, in a kind of rearranged, modernized, updated way, whatever the correct term is for that, right? Even though it did have flaws, the action choreography in One Piece, while not terrible, was not as good as I wanted it to be, but I could forgive it because everything else I thought was so good. The set design, etc. It really felt like the show really kind of made it feel like it came alive. The only character, like say, like in One Piece, it took a while to grow on me. After a while, I got used to Luffy, but at first he was kind of awkward. But like, he grew on me, and I got used to him, and then stuff like that. But with this show, it was kind of like the opposite, where it was I would say like set design, locations, things like that. Outside of like Genkai's house area, like that's the only thing that really made me feel like, oh yeah, man, that's just like the way it was. But I feel like when I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho, a lot of the locations and areas they were in didn't give me that feel that gave me from the anime at all, in the slightest. Actually, they changed a lot of locations around for things when they happen. They kind of just gave you like certain story beats as they happen. The way Yu Yu Hakusho condensed the story is super weird, in a sense that, like, the first 2 episodes are like, as far as condensing the story is great. Like, it kind of pretty much follows the same pace. Just took those however many episodes to condense it down to 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, yeah. So while you're watching that, you're like, okay, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen. But by the time you get to like episode 3, it gets really, really weird, because you're just like, oh, so we're just like skipping all this, huh? And then they skipped a lot of stuff, man. And then they kind of brought some stuff back in, and then they added stuff that happened like down the line, and then they brought that into it, and they kind of combined it and made their own little thing. So like, you're watching events in the Yu Yu Hakusho live action show, and these things happened, but the way they happened and the location that they happened in is very much not the way it happened in the story. So while I would tell people like, hey, if you wanted to like watch the One Piece live action show and kind of get a good idea of the One Piece story, you can do that. Like of the whole East Blue saga before they go to Loge Town and go into the Grand Line, you can get a real good idea of the One Piece story. And if you like the live action one, I would say then just watch the anime and just see the differences and see. But for the most part, it's pretty much almost one for one. Not directly one for one, but it's very, very close, right? Well, Yu Yu Hakusho though, I would tell people like, if you kind of want to get introduced into Yu Yu Hakusho story, I wouldn't even recommend watching it because like it takes a story, it does take it in a whole different direction, but it tells it in such a bizarre order, and it does things so differently that it's not even a little bit like how the Yu Yu Hakusho story is from start to finish. It's still enjoyable to watch, but I feel like the only people who could watch this, well, I guess if you've never seen it, it wouldn't really matter. But I feel like this is really made people who kind of already watch Yu Yu Hakusho, already knows what happens, already knows how it all goes down, and they can kind of just enjoy it for what it is, because they'll be like, oh, okay, well, all right, they didn't do this and they didn't do that, but they did this and they did that, and I think they're leading up for season 2, so I'm curious to see what they were gonna do that, because the only thing they could do is, well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but yeah, I don't want to spoil it for nobody watching this, but it's dope. It's dope. I would honestly say like there's no reason to not watch it. I didn't really want to come into this super like editative or whatnot and all the stuff like editative. I don't know if that's a word. I kind of just want to give really, really quick opinions and thoughts on it. I think it was awesome. The fight choreography, you need to just go watch it. Like the fights are insane in this show, and for that alone, I tell anybody, especially if you like Yu Yu Hakusho, you need to watch this because the way they did the fights are great. It's the standard for live action anime for me now. The battle sequences. If anything, I wish they would have just told the story more close to how the story is actually told, because the Yu Yu Hakusho story is really good. And so as a result of them not doing that, there's a lot of characters and stuff that don't probably get developed, and there's things that happen that didn't really feel earned because the characters in the story, they kind of needed to go through a lot more to get to that point. If we read the manga or watch the anime. But nevertheless, it's dope, and you should just check it out. Honest to God, you really should just check it out. But that's neither here nor there. It's your boy, Sophus. Hell, Hydra.